Good evening, patient defenders. After our marathon bargaining session this week, which isn't over yet, I know there's a ton of interest out there on the latest news, whether we have a deal yet or not. Tonight I'm going to review our progress in bargaining and what you can do to help us get across the finish line. So here's the 20-second version. We're not done yet. We've made some really big progress, and to get us over the finish line, we're calling on you to have a rapid response read up for tomorrow. More on that later. First of all, if everyone can hear me okay, can you hit the like button? I'm seeing, okay, looks like people are hitting the like button. To all those watching live or later, please leave your department or work site down in the comments section. And if you have shout outs or questions, leave those down there as well. In case you don't know me, my name is Adrienne Inghouse. I'm the proud president of the Oregon Federation of Nurses, OFNHP, sorry, I forget my audience. And I've been down in California this week with Katie Ekstrom, your vice president, and Elaine Carty, your treasurer, and all of our Alliance of Healthcare partners. Your local bargaining committee has been stationed here at OFNHP headquarters, ready to, at a moment's notice, to review proposals and weigh in, because we were doing local bargaining remotely. Most of us have barely slept for the last 2 days, but we do have some real progress to report. Also, in case you don't notice, I have a little bit of a cold. So, first of all, let's review briefly what the agreements are for the RNs, the techs, and the pros. Those are the three groups in ONA that open their local contracts. We secured that breakthrough staffing language, which we've talked about before, and I'll repeat, it does not go into effect until we have ratified the national agreement. And when it does, we're still going to have to hold management accountable. We're still going to have to put the pressure on to get them to follow it. This language has been in the national agreement and they've never followed it. But we'll have enforceable timelines for joint staffings, and I really want to emphasize that this means backfill. The national agreement formula for backfill has always been there, and now we can actually be part of the conversation around it. We agreed to some changes around the on-call language, which means people have to make themselves more available, which is helpful to the floors who need per diems. Management has used that as a barrier to hiring on call, and we've removed that barrier. We have an agreement that each pay scale will receive an additional longevity step, so that's exciting, of about 2.5%, and that will reward and honor longevity and expertise. We agreed to some modest improvements on differentials. I'll point out it's been 13 years since we opened, so we weren't going to get all the way there, but we did get some changes to differentials that really needed addressed. Standby, evening, nights, preceptor, charge, all have a change coming. I know a lot of people wanted float. We heard that loud and clear. Just not yet. We have another way we're going to go after that and try and get that added. We did agree to a few changes in consecutive day pay, mainly that meetings, non-mandatory meetings, will not count towards consecutive day pay. That's the crux of it. But mandatory meetings still count towards consecutive day pay. And we won a compensation review committee, which is very detailed. There's arbitration, grievance, you're able to file grievances. There's timelines that we have to follow. So if you're a work group that feels like you were underpaid in the market, there's a mechanism for you to have that reviewed, and both labor and management are on that committee. So I feel strongly that these changes to our local agreements really do move OFNHP members forward. And if you see anyone from your local bargaining team, make sure you take a minute to thank them. They were very committed to this process. And they're still at it. They're still listening and working on national issues. We're not done yet. So now that we've settled our major local issues, our entire focus needs to be on bringing home that strong national agreement. And I want to be clear, there is no deal until there's a deal. gonna say it again, there's no deal until there's a deal. Even though we think we're heading in the right direction, and we have to be extra vigilant right now about the major issues that are still at stake. We have to keep our foot on the gas. If we send management the message that we're cooling off, we really run the risk that we won't win the agreement we need. That's why some managers may be telling people that we have an agreement so they can just relax. That's not true. There's no deal until we have a deal. So bargaining will continue in California at the end of this week. Our bargaining team is holding the line on the issues that you said were most important. Preserving the pension and health care, across the board wage increases that are the same as California, protecting our no cancel policy and not allowing them to dismantle our protections against floating. There's no alliance agreement on retirement or active medical yet, and or any of the other issues that we discussed last week. So those pivotal issues that are important to you, we have not reached agreements around. There's been conversations and they're going well, but we haven't hit an agreement yet. So we believe that things are moving in the right direction, but the ink isn't been put on the paper yet. And we don't have a deal, and it's critical that we keep up this pressure. So that brings me up to what I mentioned at the top of the video. Red Up Friday. Night shifters, it's time to break out your red shoes, your red scrubs, your bandanas, whatever you have, wear red tonight. And to the rest of the patient defenders, red up tomorrow. We're calling for a total red out to send a clear message to management that we're not letting up. We do the work at Kaiser Permanente, we give the care, and when Kaiser members think about Kaiser, they think about you. They think about how you take care of them, not the guy on the 13th floor who's pushing a pen. So let's remind management tomorrow they are in our territory. This is OFNHP territory. We can do this, patient defenders. We are near the end, we're near the finish line. Keep going, don't let up. Now, I'm gonna take a few questions, just a few. I wonder if there's a copyright on that song, if I'll get in trouble.
I think there is.
Uh-oh. I have Joshua in
If
the
there's
office
one on the
with me.
Happy Birthday song, there's gotta be one on Jeopardy.
Uh-oh, I have Joshua in the office with me. He's managing my risk.
Alright, still no questions yet to the comment feed.
So we don't have any questions, but I will say, please go to your worksite meetings. You'll get more details. You can talk about how things will impact your specific work group. Talk to your worksite captains, speak to your organizers, speak to the elected leaders of your bargaining unit. The meetings that are left are Friday at noon at Orchards, Friday from 4 to 7:30 at Westside Medical Center in the Daisy Room, and Monday from 11 to 12 at Longview Kelso. So you can get a lot more specifics, and I think bargaining team members are trying to come as well. Oh, question?
Yeah, so I see Jennifer Gibson there with a question asking for the difference between national and local. If you could do that again.
Yes. Excellent question, and it is confusing to people. The national agreement houses our benefits, our pension, our no cancel policy, our ESA, which is our protection against layoffs, our income security, we call it. It also has flex time, staffing language, a lot more of kind of the relationship and how we manage the relationship with Kaiser. Your local agreement is if you're an RN, it's a green book, and it has like seniority, differentials, schedules, float language, per diem language. It's broader about how you do kind of the day-to-day work in your work area. So there's language in there for floating, there's language for how holidays are given, how vacations are derived at. So.
Nicole asks a really great question. Can you explain what a tentative agreement or TA is?
Oh, Yes. So when both sides agree, we think we hit it, that's what we both want. We call it a TA, a tentative agreement. What happens from that point is, for local contracts, they have to come back and the membership has to vote on it. So even though you're elected bargaining unit and you're elected officers from the union think we hit the right mark, you will have an opportunity to vote and say, yes, we all agree on that. And so it's your opportunity for democracy to make sure you have a say in your contract. And the national agreement is a smidge different. We will also have a ratification. We call that a ratification vote. When the members vote, that's a ratification vote. For the national agreement, there'll be an endorsement process and then a ratification vote. The endorsement's where the CIC members and some of the other officers will say, we read this, this looks good.
Great. Jamie Dobbs asks, a really apropos question. Is there a final time to expect national bargaining to end?
Wow, Jamie. About 3 months ago, we thought national bargaining was going to end. No, it can go on. But we're so close to the end, and we expect to hear something on Friday or Saturday. We really do. I will say, I think in Kaiser we got kind of comfortable with when we opened our national agreement. We had it last day of bargaining, and that changed this year. This is much more traditional, and we also had our local agreements open, which pushed a lot of deadlines as well. So it's a little bit different, but yeah, this is much more like traditional bargaining. And we are believing Friday or Saturday we should get a deal. If not, we'll be coming to you with a different question.
Okay. Can you explain if the across-the-board wages, or ATBs, will affect the hygienists as well?
Yes. Yes. So the national agreement is where those ATBs are come into effect. The longevity steps will not affect the hygienist. The hygienist and the lab pros did not open their local agreement, but the across the boards, the no cancel, all the things that come out of that national agreement will definitely, your co-pays, your health benefits, will all impact the hygienist.
Okay. Oh, there's one that I scrolled past. Let's see. What happens if we don't agree on a tentative agreement? Do we go back and bargain what we don't like?
Yeah, kind of. Let's see. Yes, we go back and bargain on what we don't like, yes. But in this case, we are doing it simultaneously with the national agreement. So if all the other unions agree and we don't, we're kind of on our own. So it's not like we wouldn't be with the alliance anymore. And the local agreement, yes, we would go back and bargain things that we didn't like if you voted no, yes.
Okay.
These are such good questions.
Krista wants to know if hygiene would strike as well if we were going to have a strike.
The dental hygienists, technically their contract isn't open, so they wouldn't necessarily be able to strike. They would, however, be able to help on the picket line on their days off. They would be able to help here at the office. There's a ton of things that they can do. We've been working on setting up a general welfare fund for while we're on strike. If we were to go, they would be part of that too, donating to it, sitting on the committee. There's tons of things that the hygienists will be able to do. They can still do informational pickets, so we would probably have an informational picket for them as well. Same with the techs. So someone's asking if we consult with lawyers. Yeah, we have lawyers around, we do. And they can give us advice sometimes, yes. A lot of good contract language in local agreements and in our national agreement are not done by lawyers. And we find that the people who do the work know best how to make sure the right language is in there. There's always a lawyer, you know, AFT has several that we work with. We have 3 here in town we work with that can look at information for us, definitely. And some things definitely need a lawyer to look at, definitely, and we do when we need to.
Okay, so I think, looking at the time, we've got 2 more questions.
Okay.
Okay.
My Sudafed's
Brandy?
wearing off, and we know I have to go to Vancouver to get Sudafed, so I wanna.
I want you to have a cold, not pneumonia, so,
Okay.
okay. Brandy is asking, Brandy is asking, because she got here just a little bit late, but just to kind of recap, if and when we get a TA on ATVs, will the wage increases apply for all the groups? She's specifically asking about techs, but.
Yes, yes. The wage increases come through the national agreement, so everyone in OFNHP, Kaiser employee will get a wage increase. And if we don't have it by September 30th, it would be retro back to. So if it takes some time into October. Don't forget, you all got a 1% already this month, so I know it didn't feel like much, but that's 1%, and this would be on top of that.
Great. And then our last question comes from, scroll back again. Oh yeah, from Katrina. She wants to know, when do we go back for negotiations?
Friday or Saturday morning, there will be a small team is going down. Well, they won't be going down. The people that down there are there, and they will be meeting with management. We'll all be WebExed in or conference called in. So at that point, we will get an agreement on these last issues, or we will not. If we get an agreement on these last issues, we will move forward with ratification. If we do not, that's when we call for the strike authorization vote. That plan is still in force. But we really, at this point, have had such progress, we didn't want to blow it up by having a strike authorization vote right now. But if we don't have a deal on Friday and Saturday, we'll be back with you and letting you know what your options are. Right? Okay. Don't forget to read up on Friday, everyone. And I'm going to go home and get some more Sudafed. Thank you. Have a great night.